Hey people, welcome back to part 2 of my 10 need to know wine phrases. Wine term number 6, body. Body is basically how a wine feels in your mouth. Does it feel full or does it feel quite thin and light? Imagine comparing a glass of water to a thick creamy cup of hot chocolate. The hot chocolate would be full-bodied and the water would be light-bodied. Now, a body of a wine is made up of quite a few factors and how they interplay with each other. The primary factors that make up a wine's body are acidity, sugar, tannins in red wine, and also fruit extraction in red wine, as well as alcohol. Sugar plays a huge part, but only in off-dry to sweet wines. This Tempranillo, I'd say, would be medium body to full bodied. It's got quite a puckering sensation from the high acidity, and the tannins are medium as well. They're definitely apparent, but they're not so overpowering that I wouldn't be able to drink this wine without food. Term number 7, balance. Balance is one of the most important factors in a wine that governs whether you enjoy it or not. I've mentioned all the structural components that make up wine. Now there needs to be balance between all those moving parts. As well as balance, integration of all those structural components need to be seamless. You might have had a really poor quality red wine, taken a sip, and all you can taste is the harshness of the alcohol. Or you may have had a wine that's very high in tannins, and the tannins completely dominate over any other redeeming qualities of the wine. This really illustrates how wine really is a balance between art and science. You can have all the scientific procedures in place while making a wine, but that final balance really is pure magic. And the next term, wooded. You've all probably heard of a wooded Chardonnay. What this means is the wine has been matured in oak barrels. Maturing a wine in oak barrels not only affects the structure of the wine, giving it more body and also contributing a little bit of tannins, but it also affects the flavour of the wine. For a white wine, oak maturation will give it buttery, caramel, and maybe even a slight vanilla taste. For red wines, leathery, meaty, or spicy aromas. The type of oak barrels will affect the taste. You've got French oak barrels, American oak barrels, and even Slovenian oak barrels. Oak barrels, as the name would suggest, comes from oak trees. So obviously the country in which the oak has been grown will have had different influences from soil type or climate, and this will affect the flavours that the oak gives to the wine. French oak will tend to give more earthy and spicy flavours to the wine, whereas American will give those big sweet flavours like coconut and vanilla and caramel. Maturing wine in oak barrels is very expensive. For example, a single oak barrel of 225 litres, which is the standard Bordeaux size, costs 10,000 rand. Because oak barrels are so expensive, some winemakers use other methods to oak the wine that aren't so expensive. For example, a wine might be fermented in a stainless steel tank, and then oak staves, basically little pieces of oak, are put into the wine to give some of the flavours of the oak, but without having to invest in an oak barrel. Newton Johnson in the Hemel and Ardagh Valley in Hermanus makes an entry-level Pinot Noir. Normally Pinot Noirs are a little bit pricier, but Newton Johnson has made one for under 100 rand, and the way they've done this is by using these oak staves in the stainless steel tanks that the wine is maturing in. Term number 9, bold. Another term you might have read in a tasting note and you wondered, how can a wine be bold? Well, think of a wine that you take a sip and it makes you go, whoa. That whoa can be because it's just bursting with flavour, or it's incredibly full-bodied, or it's smooth like silk. These are definitely wines that you won't be forgetting anytime soon. I'd say this Tempranillo isn't necessarily bold because it's got a more refined elegance to it. More like that quiet, sophisticated stranger you see in the corner, rather than that boisterous person who's the life and soul of the party. And wine term number 10, appropriately, is finish. You can also call this the length of a wine. If someone describes a wine as long, it doesn't mean they spend a long time drinking it. It means that the flavours and the body of the wine stays in their mouth for a long time. Often on the finish, we pick up on flavours that we didn't first notice when we had our first sips of the wine. This Chenin Blanc has a relatively long finish, but then again, just because a wine doesn't have a long finish doesn't necessarily mean that's undesirable or that it's a bad quality wine. But if you're in the mood for a more serious wine, then a lengthy finish just makes the drinking experience more interesting. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like it, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and also please leave any comments in the comments section below. Also, you can follow me on Twitter for my daily wine tweets. And if you want to learn more about wine, just drink more wine. See you next time.